Hey, what's up y'all? Sorry I haven't made a video in the last couple 2-3 weeks. I actually was in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee for a week, drove up there from Florida, got to experience the rod run, which was a lot of fun. But we also had our Yard Mastery Company Summit there and got a lot accomplished for the coming season. That said, driving from Florida up to Tennessee, I actually had the chance to go through the great state of Georgia, the #1 state for Bermuda grass in the entire USA. Dang, this lawn is thick. And of course, you all know I'm gonna stop along the way and check out that Bermuda grass, and I actually got quite a bit of good footage that I'll share with you now. In fact, I'm gonna talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of that alpha male Bermuda grass. Also, for those of you that have thick, juicy, beautiful Zoysia grass like I have here, all of this is gonna apply to you. And even those of you with St. Augustine or centipede or even Bahia grass, this is all for you too. Look how thick this is. Let's learn why. Now, before we get too far into this, temperatures, they are starting to drop across the country, which means it's time for fall pre-emergence for most of you guys with warm season turf. And for you cool season folks that didn't do any seeding, we want to stop weeds that are going to germinate and show up over the winter. I have a full pre-emergent guide I'll give you a link to below, as well as a link to some pre-emergence that I'll be putting down in my lawn that you can also use in yours over the next couple 2-3 weeks. So Bermuda is a well-known self-healing grass, which means it can fill in bare or thin spots by literally taking new ground. It does this by sending out runners called rhizomes and stolons. These runners move through bare ground and send up stems topped with grass blades. When taking fresh ground, they move as fast as they can and they stretch far and wide. But once they swarm together to create a turf stand or a lawn, and there is no more easy ground to take, they begin to knit together tighter and tighter, forming a dense mat of thick, dominant alpha turf. Bermuda is for sure the most aggressive alpha turf grass that's sold in the US today. And this is why Bermuda grass is not only good at healing, but it's also very good at standing up to foot traffic. Look at all the foot traffic that must get on there. You can see this is common Bermuda. But imagine all the foot traffic of people doing exactly what I'm doing. And you can see it's all matted down as compared to this that's like fluffy. You can see this is compacted. A little bit of nutsedge right there. Also not handling the foot traffic well, but look at how good that Bermuda is. People always ask me, what's the very best foot traffic grass? If it's warm season, 100% Bermuda every time. Best foot traffic grass you can get for warm season grass. Here you can see more of what foot traffic does. You can tell people are just walking right across here. You know, I mean, it's just, this is a mall over here, so people probably walk across this all the time, and you can see the foot patterns. But the Bermuda's holding up pretty well, as good as it can. I know that, yeah, there's no color to it. I mean, again, it's trampled. You'd look like that too if people stepped on you 24/7. But you're not gonna get that out of most grasses. Let me get a little closer. Most grasses, you can see there's still turf in here. It's still mostly covered with turf, which is gonna keep weeds out even though it's being stomped down. Even the weeds are getting stomped down, right? So you can see, yeah, is it beautiful turf grass? No, but is it a cover? Is it holding soil in place while people are walking on it all the time? Yes. So that's why it's the best high traffic grass. But you have to understand, if you have a high traffic area, it's just not gonna look good. I think that's probably one of the things people, when they ask like, hey, what's a good high traffic grass? They've tried other things and it ends up looking like this. And they're expecting that they have something with dogs running on it or people walking on it a lot or whatever. And they expect, well, this is gonna look as beautiful as all the beautiful striped lawns I see in the Facebook group. And that's just not the case. You're walking on it. So you have to realize if you have a lawn that is used a lot, that's okay. That's a useful thing. You're using the lawn often. This is probably about as good as you're gonna get. And I recommend Bermuda. Now, if you're up north, I'm sorry, there just isn't really a good high traffic option. But in the south where it's warmer, we do have a decent high traffic option, and that's the common Bermuda. All right, now let's talk about some of the bad of Bermuda grass.
Being thick and aggressive is great, but it means you, the homeowner, needs to keep it mowed low and often. Otherwise, those stems will lengthen and get thicker and turn brown, and it gets what's known as a leggy condition. See this rhizome here? And the shoots, they're sent upwards. Well, you can see the tufts of grass standing on top of the stems. Now here's a side view of hundreds of them all packed together. This lawn is being cut around 3 inches, which gives you about 2 inches of stem and 1 inch of actual green grass. That's not a lot of room for mistakes, especially if you have a bumpy lawn that causes the mower to kind of gash in. So the key is to mow as often as possible so you're only cutting up into that green. This makes the 1/3 rule very important and leaves very, very little room for error.
All right, so I'm actually here at a public park in Macon, Georgia, and this is gonna give us a great chance to look at some Bermuda grass. Very well taken care of Bermuda grass that's actually under a lot of stress from foot traffic and everything else. But let me illustrate some of the things I've been talking about here in this video. So for some reason, the mower dipped in and the blade cut deeper on this part of the grass than it did here. And that's why it's brown, because what happened was these legs here got cut into. So really you wanted to be up here, right? Because you got all green in here, and this grass was probably that tall, and then they cut it down to there, and they're fine, right? They got a lot of room to stay in that green. But for some reason, when they got back here, it dipped down, cut into the legs, and caused that brown spot. Now that, again, that's an extreme example, but it helps you to kind of see what's happening overall sometimes in your entire lawn when you have these brown spots.
Now, the other key is to mow as low as possible so the stems don't even get a chance to get elongated or leggy. And that makes the robot mower a great option for Bermuda lawns.
If you want to learn more about robot mowers, head on over to my podcast, Lawns Across America, where we talk to a robot mower expert. I'll give you a link in the description below. And finally, let's go ahead and get to the ugly about Bermuda grass. Bermuda grass is so thick and aggressive that it requires the sun. And when I say it requires the sun, I mean it requires all of the sun, every bit of it. 100% all of the sun is required to have a thick, healthy, nice looking Bermuda lawn. Here you can see the turf is thinned out, or what I have learned from Cassie Reed, the term etiolated. And it's thinned out here because we have the sun there, but there's always a car parked right here. There's a tree, there's a bush. So that spot right there is pretty much in the shade most of the day. Even though it seems like it would be in the sun, it's not. And you can see Bermuda grass is highly susceptible to even the smallest amount of shade. Add in the fact that this is obviously getting foot traffic on top of it, and now you have two things that the Bermuda is competing against, and it's not able to form a dense mat because of those two things. Shade and tons of foot traffic. Etiolated Bermuda grass.
Now, if you already have Zoysia or you're considering Zoysia for your southern lawn, it has the very same growth habit as Bermuda, albeit this is a little bit slower to take over. However, as you can see, it's super overgrown here. There's actually a lot more forgiveness in this because it doesn't get quite as leggy as fast as Bermuda. But other than that, the growth habits are nearly identical. So with that, I hope this video has been helpful to you. Let me know what you think in the comments below and hit that like button. Hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you in the lawn.